Welcome to this episode of the Coach Cherry Show. I am your host, Coach Cherry, Christian, husband, father, former college athlete, former head coach, and independent rap artist. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. This episode of the Coach Cherry Show, it's the month of March. You know what that means, don't you? The NCAA Tournament. The brackets have been revealed. Who is in your final four? Legacies are defined by postseason. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's fair. But legacies are defined by postseason play. I'm going to tell you who my final four picks are. I'm going to tell you who my top 5 picks should be in the NBA draft. We're also going to talk about the Carolina Panthers are having a big free agency. All that and then some on this episode of the Coach Cherry Show.
I got clear vision. You can tell that I'm nice. It's like the song Snitching.
The brackets are out. Offices, schools, families, online. Everybody's filling out a bracket. You know they are. You know you're probably filling out a bracket. When the brackets first now, some people, I think it's an annual thing. It's like a tradition. People sit around and watch the bracket reveal who's going to be in what region. You kind of knew who the number 1 seeds were, but who's going to be in what region and this and that, and who are you putting in your Elite 8 and your Final 4? You're going online and doing a bracket challenge. Brackets. You can have a very good regular season. As a matter of fact, you can have a great regular season. It doesn't mean anything unless you back it up with success in the tournament. That's what it is. That's sports, y'all. That's sports. That's life. Postseason play. Now, regular season play can get you to a certain level of notoriety. Regular season play can build up a somewhat of a legacy. When we talk about the GOATs, let's say football, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes. You know what the first thing we do is? Championships. There is not one quarterback in the GOAT debate that doesn't have a championship. Not one. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes. That's usually the 3. You may hear a Peyton Manning. And not only do they have Super Bowls, they have multiple Super Bowl wins. John Elway. That's it. Now, Dan Fouts, great quarterback. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, outstanding quarterbacks. They don't have postseason success. They will never be in the GOAT discussion until they win a Super Bowl. At the very least, they got to get there. But if they don't win one, they'll never be in the GOAT discussion, ever. When we talk about greatest basketball players of all time, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, they say Kobe Bryant, multiple championships, multiple. There are great players that didn't win. Sure, that Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Carmelo Anthony, great play. Tracy McGrady, they didn't. Allen Iverson didn't win. Great play. They'll never be in the. Does that mean they weren't as talented? No. But we define legacies off of postseason play. It's like that in life. I don't think it's fair, because I think a Tracy McGrady is just as talented as those that won. I think a Dan Marino, if we're talking talent, he is just as talented as any quarterback that won a Super Bowl. Yes, he is. But you'll never have Marino in the GOAT discussion. You know why? He didn't win one. You'll never have Allen Iverson in the GOAT discussion. Just as talented as a lot of them, but because he didn't win, he'll never be in your GOAT discussion. John Stockton, he is the NBA's all-time leader in assists and steals. Watch this. He led Utah to the playoffs every year of his career. How many years was that, Coach Cherry? 19. And you're telling me he's not great? But because he didn't win a championship, he'll never be in your GOAT discussion. I don't think that's fair, but that's just the way it is. It's like that in life. If you don't accomplish certain things, you could be just as intelligent, you could be just as talented, you could be just, but if you don't have those things or accomplishments on your, because they, for whatever reason, they, and I get it to some degree, they give you credibility. You don't have this degree, or you don't have this status on your job, or you don't make this salary, you don't have this kind of home, you don't vacation to these kind of locations, you don't network and know certain people, you don't live in certain neighborhoods. People just don't give you the same credibility. Again, I don't think it's all the way fair. That's just the way it is. Duke won the ACC championship. Now, let me say this about Jon Scheyer. Jon Scheyer, I don't know how he became an elite coach so quickly. I don't. I'll be very honest with you. When Coach K stepped down, I felt like you wanted someone that had done it before to fill that position. And when Jon Scheyer got the position, I said, uh-oh. Excellent player, won a national championship at Duke for Coach K. We get it. He's never been a head coach before. I'm thinking Johnny Dawkins. I'm thinking Tommy Amaker, somebody in the Duke family. Maybe even a Steve Wojciechowski, a Chris Collins, someone in the Duke family. Nolan Smith is now a head coach. He probably wasn't ready for it back then, but or he may have been. Jon Scheyer was ready. I'm thinking somebody like who's done it before. Coach K said, give me Jon Scheyer. Duke winning the ACC championship, they're not loaded, y'all. They're not loaded. Cam Boozer is the only lottery pick on the team. Now, last year's team was loaded. Kaman Malawach, lottery pick. Cooper Flagg, lottery pick. Con Knipple, lottery pick. Last year's team, Tyrese Proctor, NBA pick. Sion James, NBA pick. The whole starting five got drafted last year. Last year, Duke was loaded. But this year, Cam Boozer is the only lottery pick on the team. I think Isaiah Evans should be a first rounder. I don't know if he will be or not, but I think he should be. But Cam Boozer is it. So Jon Scheyer is, and not only is Cam Boozer it, Caleb Foster and Patrick Gongbo are out. They still won the ACC tournament. That's coaching. Huh? They asked the question, who's the bigger loss? Patrick Gongbo or Cam Boozer? I'm sorry, or Caleb Foster. I think it's Caleb Foster. That first, and I said that before the ACC tournament started. That first game when they played Florida State and almost lost, that's Caleb Foster being out. It's Caleb Foster being out. Yes, Patrick Gongbo is a big loss, averaging 10.5 points, 6 rebounds, a rim protector. I got it. But Caleb Foster, on the defensive end too, he can pressure the ball, keep guards out the paint. But offensively, Caleb, I know Caleb, he only averages 8.5 points and 4 assists, 3 to 4 assists. I got it. But he gets them in their offense, and he's their most comfortable ball handler. Caden Boozer did not look ready. As the tournament went on, he made some plays. But if we're talking about just handling the basketball, Caden Boozer did not look comfortable. He didn't. As a matter of fact, it got to the point where Cam Boozer started bringing the ball up. Now, let me say this. I don't know if that's going to work in the tournament. I don't. Cam Boozer, the championship game, had 2 points at the half. I don't know if that's going to work. Well, look at Cam Boozer in the championship game. 3 of 17. That ain't like him. He hadn't played like that all season. Cam Boozer, and I know people are going to say, well, he went against Oyenso, the 7-footer from... No, that wasn't it. Cam Boozer bringing the ball up the court threw him out of rhythm. Now, if it's what the team needed, it's what the team needed. But him bringing the ball up, you're asking your number one scorer, who's not even a point guard, to bring it up, give it up, relocate, get it back, and score. You could see he was exhausted. Cam Boozer was flat out exhausted. 3 of 17? Nah. Now, he, considering what did he shoot from 3? 1 of 5? No. That kind of Cam Boozer, Duke has no chance of winning anything. As a matter of fact, if Caleb Foster is not back, and especially if they're both out, he and Patrick Gongbo, But I would say if Caleb Foster is not going to play, I think Duke's ceiling is the Elite Eight. I do. I think their ceiling is the Elite Eight. It's just going to be tough, y'all. It's going to be tough to ask Cam Boozer to run the point. Nicholas Kaminya. I like what I saw from him coming off the bench. He gave him 9 points, 1 of 2 from 3, 3 of 7 from the field, played 32 minutes. I would let him be the primary ball handler, Nicholas Kaminya. He'd be my ball handler. It would not be Cam Boozer. Because I want Cam to play like he's played all season. Now, when you look at these brackets, and I'm going to give you my Final Four in a second. Look at these brackets. Let me look at Duke's bracket. Duke obviously is the number 1 seed. So, clearly the first weekend, I think they're okay. They got Siena in the first round. That's nothing. Then they play the winner of Ohio State TCU. I think they'll be fine in that game. If the brackets go according to the seeding, in the Sweet 16, they would play either St. John's or Kansas. That's tough. That's tough, y'all. If they have to play St. John's or Kansas, Duke has their hands full. I'm just telling you that, especially St. John's. Because St. John's is going to, St. John's and Kansas. You're talking about 2 Hall of Fame coaches that both have won championships. If they got to play, they ain't going to be no out coaching now. As good as John Shire is, he's not out coaching Rick Pitino and Bill Self. I'm not saying they're going to out coach him either, but he's definitely not out coaching them. So now if you come in with a wounded Duke team and Cam Boozer's your point guard, no. Nope. I said no. Now, let's say, Coach Cherry, they get by Kansas or St. John's. Let's say they happen to win that game and go to the Elite Eight. Now it gets really tough. Because now in the Elite Eight, you're playing UConn or Michigan State. That's where I think they would lose. If there's no Caleb Foster or Patrick Gungba, I think in the Elite Eight against UConn and Michigan. And what I don't want to hear if they lose is, see, John Shire can't win the big one. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. If they don't have Foster or Gongba, they're not supposed to win the big one. They're not supposed to. Out of the East region, if I am picking my Final Four to represent the East region, I'm picking today, for me, it's between UConn and Michigan State. UConn and Michigan State. Wow, that's tough. I'm going to go Michigan State. Out of the East, I'm going Michigan State. Let me scroll over here to the West region, where Arizona is the number 1 seed. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been watching Arizona. I coached against the point guard, Jaden Bradley. He got Player of the Year in the Big 12 over A.J. DeBonsa. He got Player of the Year over A.J. I think A.J. DeBonsa is supposed to get that. The best player in the... When we do Player of the Years, is it the best player in the conference or the player that had the best season? Me personally, I have the mindset that it should go to the best player in the conference. Now, the best player in the conference can't have a trash season. I'm not saying that. A.J. DeBonsa led all of Division I college basketball in scoring. He averaged 25 points a game this year. That is the highest average in Division I basketball. How is he not the player of the year in the conference? And he led BYU to the NCAA tournament? Wow. I'm not mad, though. I like Bradley. Coached against him in high school. So I'm happy for him. But coming out the West, you got Arizona, Wisconsin, very good shooting team, very good offense. You got A.J. DeBonsa, BYU, Gonzaga. I hope Mark Few gets a championship one day. I don't think it's going to be this year. Purdue. Tough. But I'm going to pick Arizona coming out of the West. So far in Coach Cherry's Final Four, out of the East, I have Michigan State. Out of the West, I have Arizona. Let me scroll on down to the next region. All right, as we look at the Midwest, Michigan is the 1 seed, but they have a huge injury. Iowa State is the 2 seed. You got Kentucky. I like Virginia. Virginia's the 3 seed. When I watched Virginia play against Duke, I really like what Jay Lucas is doing at Virginia. I like their style of play. I like that, they had the Oyenso coming off the bench as a 7-footer, but they don't really play with a true big until he's in the game. I like their multiple guys that can create off the bounce. I like that kind of basketball. I really do. Multiple guys that can get a bucket isoing. Virginia plays Tennessee in the second round. That's a tough matchup. I would pick Virginia in that. I'd have Virginia in my Sweet 16. Virginia could possibly go to the Elite Eight. It wouldn't shock me if Virginia beat Iowa State in the Sweet 16. But I am going to go with Michigan coming out of the Midwest. Okay? Michigan State, Arizona, Michigan. In the South region, number 1 seed is Florida. They have really been playing well. It's a little surprised they lost to Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament, but that's okay. Houston is number 2. Carolina, 6 seed. I think Carolina VCU, that's going to be a tough game. But look, y'all, Caleb Wilson's out. I can't pick Carolina to go far without Caleb Wilson. I just can't do it. So I don't think they go a long way without. I think they get past VCU, but in the second round, now it does help they're playing in Greenville, South Carolina. It's right down the road. But in the second round against Illinois, I think that's where it may come to an end for Carolina when they play Illinois. Florida or Houston coming out of the South? Florida or Houston? You got Vanderbilt in that region. I like Vanderbilt, Nebraska. I'm not big on Nebraska. Great record. Got off to a great start. I think they started the season 20-0. Texas A&M. I think Florida and Houston meet in the Elite Eight. I'm going to go with Houston, y'all. My Final Four is Michigan State out of the East, Houston out of the South, Arizona out of the West, and Michigan out of the Midwest. Houston, Michigan, Michigan State, Arizona. I got Arizona as my national champ. I think Arizona is the best team in the country. I do. And they haven't had a lot of postseason success recently. I don't think they've been past the Sweet 16 in a while. It's been a long time since Arizona's been past the Sweet 16. But I think Jaden Bradley is a senior experienced point guard. Koa Pete's one of the best freshmen in the country. I think they get it done this year. I think Arizona wins the national championship. A lot of good players in this tournament. Now, I was talking to an NBA scout, and we were talking about the NBA draft and who are the top players. I was watching Darius Acuff Jr. in this SEC tournament. I've seen him some this year, too. Then I watched him today in the championship game. He had 30 points and 11 assists. Let me say this, because some people are saying Acuff is the best point guard Coach Cal has ever coached. John Shire is starting to creep up that list. But if we're talking about college coaches putting players into the NBA and them producing, I think Coach Cal is number one. And can I be honest with you? I don't think it's close. So when you say Darius Acuff Jr. at Arkansas is the best player, the best point guard Coach Cal has ever coached, Coach Cal coached Derrick Rose at Memphis. That was Coach Cal's product. Coach Cal coached John Wall at Kentucky. That was Coach Cal's product. Coach Cal coached Tyrese Maxey at Kentucky. Coach Cal coached Jamal Murray at Kentucky. Coach Cal coached SGA at Kentucky. Coach Cal coached Devin Booker. Coach Cal has had, you think Darius Acuff is his best guard? Emmanuel Quickly, Malik Monk. Can I also tell you who Coach Cal coached? De'Aaron Fox. Like, Coach Cal has put out some talent. If Coach Cal recruits you, you got to go. And I just told you the guards that he coached. I didn't tell you DeMarcus Cousins. I didn't tell you about Julius Randle. I didn't tell you about Anthony Davis. I didn't tell you about Karl Anthony Towns. Those are all Coach Cal products. If Coach Cal recruits you, you got to go. He puts guys in the league. Not only does he put them in the league, they get paid. They produce. I ain't talking. He coached Tyler Hero. Okay. I'm not saying that. You can call me. I ain't saying that. Coach Cal can recruit me now. I'm going. Because look at his track record. So when you talk about Acuff Jr., as great and fantastic as he is, the best guard that Coach Cal has ever had, best point guard. Now I'm not even talking about NBA career. Okay, let's put SGA and those guys. They're about to be Hall of Famers. Devin Booker. Let's just focus on college career. College career. Derrick Rose got Coach Cal to a national championship game. John Wall took Coach Cal to an Elite Eight. So I don't know. I would say he's top 5. I'll probably even say top 4. Absolutely. Derrick Rose and John Wall were tough in college, y'all. They were tough. Devin Booker was coming off the bench, so he wasn't the Devin Booker we see now. SGA wasn't the SGA. He was good. Nobody saw this coming. You know how I know nobody saw this coming? Because he wasn't even a top 10 pick. SGA wasn't even a top 10 pick. So if they thought he was going to be this, he would have been in the top 5. But if I'm drafting today, now I know a lot of it's going to depend on need. What does a team need? Let's just go on best available. Let's just go best available player, regardless of position. The number 1 pick in the draft for me would be A.J. DeBonsa. I think he's just the NBA star. I hope he doesn't go to Washington, though. It seems like players go to Washington, it gets very nasty, it gets very ugly. I hope he doesn't go to Washington. Because that right there, some guys go to Washington and you never hear them ever again. It gets ugly. But A.J. DeBonsa would be my number 1 pick. And now after that, it gets interesting. My number 2 pick, who would I pick number 2 in this draft? Number 2. Darren Peterson. Him missing these games is my only concern. Nobody knows why he's sitting. Now, he's been playing recently. But in the middle of the season, he was just mysterious. He may play, he may not play. He's checking himself out the game. What is that all about? That was concerning. Now, it doesn't seem like it's much of a concern now because he's playing. So if he's going to play and play, like play, I'll put Peterson number 2. I'll have A.J. DeBonsa at 1. Darren Peterson 2. I'll take Caleb Wilson 3. I'm not a big Cam Boozer fan, but everybody's so high on him. And if I'm going to be very honest with you, I may put him at 4 just so I feel like I don't miss something. But I'm not a big Cam Boozer fan. I think he's a below-the-rim player. A post player that has very little perimeter skills, shoots the 3 pretty well. But I just don't see how his game translates to the NBA. I just don't. And I could be completely off on this. But I don't see it. Coach Cherry's list, I would have Darius Acuff at 4. I would have Kingston Flemings at 5. That'd be my top 5. A.J. DeBonsa, Darren Peterson, Caleb Wilson, Darius Acuff, Kingston Flemings. At 6, now I may have Cam Boozer. 7, Mikael Brown. 8, Nate Ament. 9, Keaton Wagler. Yeah, that'd be my squad right there. That would be my squad. This changes according to how guys do in the postseason. That's what I was talking about earlier. Some guys that are not on draft boards are about to be on draft boards just based off what they do in the NCAA tournament. Some guys' stock will rise, some guys' stock will fall. All off the NCAA tournament. Again, I don't think it's fair. But a lot of times you're judged off what you do in the tournament, what you do in the playoffs when it comes to professional sports. Speaking of that, what you do in the postseason, the Carolina Panthers have been making a lot of moves this offseason. Dan Morgan is not messing around. When Dan Morgan signed Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd, they said the defense needed to get better, and Coach Evero was taking a lot of heat. I thought he did a great job this year. That defense went from last to the top half of the NFL. And it happened, a large part of it is because Derek Brown was healthy and J.C. Horn was healthy. That's not a knock against Coach Evero. What that tells me is when guys are healthy, he can have a formidable defense. It's not a knock. And now you give him Jalen Phillips from the Eagles and Devin Lloyd from the Jaguars. You just gave him two strong linebackers. And I mean, Devin Lloyd was a Pro Bowler, y'all. He was second team All-Pro. I'm talking about a football player. And he's on a 3-year deal. Jalen Phillips, a 4-year deal. So they got these guys for multiple years. Just those two signings in and of itself are huge. Look at what they're saying about Devin Lloyd. What a day for Dan Morgan. First, he landed arguably the best edge rusher in Jalen Phillips. And now he gets arguably the best off-ball linebacker in Devin Lloyd. So the way these free agents were ranked, according to the rankings, Dan Morgan signed the best edge rusher, which we needed to get pressure on the quarterback, and the best off-ball linebacker. Okay. He filled two big needs, pass rusher and inside linebacker, and Lloyd can also drop back into coverages. And these guys are in their 20s. They're young. 26, 27. They're right in the prime of their career. A team that already made the playoffs and won the division, you add these two pieces to go with Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, Mike Jackson. Okay. The backup quarterback position, Kenny Pickett. They did need a younger backup quarterback. I like Andy Dalton not to play, but I like him there to mentor Bryce Young. Maybe you keep Andy as the third quarterback, just so he can be there in practice and in the locker room, just to kind of mentor Bryce Young. I don't know how I feel about this Kenny Pickett signing. I don't know how I feel about this. 27 years old. He's most known for playing with the Steelers. I didn't think he did bad in Pittsburgh. I thought he was solid. And maybe that's all you need from a backup quarterback. I want my backup skill set to be similar to my starter so we can call the same plays. For some reason, I don't like Kenny Pickett being on just a 1-year deal. I feel like when you're on a 1-year deal, I don't know if you can totally invest yourself into that organization. It may make him hungry to play well to get another contract, but a 2-year deal, I like that better because it gets my quarterback to settle down and some stability. And okay, I'm going to be here for a few years. Let me just settle down and chill out. But Kenny Pickett, I feel kind of indifferent about that. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm a little indifferent with that. Luke Forner, center. Yeah, I mean, Cade Mays is gone. You sign him to a 1-year deal. I don't know if that's, we'll see. Stone Forsythe, well, because Ike Ekwonu was out with knee surgery. And you just don't know when he's going to be back. So they got a lot of insurance at this left tackle position with Stone Forsythe. And then they signed Rasheed Walker out of Green Bay, left tackle. So a lot of insurance. I like the John Mechie. John Mechie, wide receiver, played with Bryce Young at Alabama. Look at this. Michie had 96 catches for 1,142 yards and 8 touchdowns during the 2021 college football season at Alabama when Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy with 4,872 passing yards and 47 touchdowns. My goodness, Bryce Young put up some numbers. So he and Michie already have a relationship. They already have chemistry. That is big. I'm going to tell you what else is big. So let me say this. Defensively, Derek Brown's back healthy. J.C. Horn's back. Mike Jackson's back. I saw they just signed Nick Scott to a 1-year deal too. I think you still try to upgrade at safety, maybe in the draft. But Devin Lloyd and Jalen Phillips, if Jalen Phillips can stay healthy, really, if all of them can stay healthy, but if Jalen Phillips can stay healthy, that's a different defense, y'all. And I like Roseboom. I want to keep Roseboom. But adding those two, that's a different defense. We'll see what you're saying about Coach Avero this year. Watch Coach Avero this year with those. Now you gave him something to work with. Watch Coach Avero this year. John Michie at receiver. I like it. I don't know. I don't know what that does to the receiving room. Leggett just hasn't panned out yet. I don't know what that does to the receiving room. We'll see. We'll see. But I think that, because I'm not sold on Coker as the number 2 yet. Not yet. I need to see a bigger body of work. But we'll see. Jimmy Horn Jr., I don't know if this hurts Jimmy Horn Jr. That's the one I'm concerned about. Signing John Michie, I don't know if that hurts Jimmy Horn Jr. We'll see. We'll see. But the loss of Rico Dowdle, people aren't talking about that enough. The only reason or the only way Rico Dowdle signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers doesn't hurt Carolina is if Jonathan Brooks is healthy. If Jonathan Brooks is healthy, Panthers are good. If Jonathan Brooks is not healthy, and it's just Chuba Hubbard and Travis Etienne, no ma'am, no sir. Nope, that ain't gonna get it. Chuba Hubbard is a straight ahead runner that runs the ball hard where the play is designed to go. No improvisation, no big playability, no, or at least he hasn't shown it. No. Nope. And Travis Etienne, I haven't seen anything from him. I liked him at Georgia, but he seems like another straightforward back. I want a back that can run. Rico Dowdle can run. Like Rico Dowdle, you give him the ball, the play ain't there. He may break 1 or 2 tackles, bounce that thing out, or he may reverse field, or he may make 1 or 2 guys miss. Big playability. Chuba Hubbard has not shown that. I know he had 1,200 yards one season. I know that. But he hasn't shown that pop. He hasn't shown it. And Etienne definitely hasn't shown it. He was only a rookie last year, but Jonathan Brooks has that ability, but you're banking on him being healthy. So hopefully that's the case. If not, they're going to really miss Rico Dowdle. This has been another episode of the Coach Cherry Show. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Follow the YouTube channel. There are videos, even shorts, are going up on this channel every day talking about all kind of sports topics. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, signing off. This is Coach Cherry. God bless you.
Like a track meet, yeah, I can adjust, kinda crafty. Gotta keep going, if I stop, what would that be? Come on, coach, why you tripping's what they asked me. So I move.